theme this month for July is activating spiritual freedom. And what that means for me is that we are already spiritually free. And it's about just recognizing and knowing that the freedom is already here. Now, one way we get to do that, and I see this in action all the time, is the shift in consciousness from what do you have to give me to how can I serve? I see that all the time here in this center. People showing up, sharing themselves, giving in amazing ways, and feeling the reciprocity of spirit as they open up to that greater good. As you can see here at our center, we still have quite a few things. Well, my knees feel like Jell-O. How about yours? I told Sherry when I came in, she was practicing, I said, she was made for this big stage. And the resonating sound, we love you, Sherry. Just amazing. Woo! One power. Ernest Holmes said, we don't need a greater power. The power is already greater than we could ever imagine. What we need is a greater consciousness. A greater consciousness to recognize with deep realization that that power is already in us. Isn't that great? Yes, it's already there. We just need to understand it and know it and let go of anything that separates us from the good that is already there. My weekly topic is accept the invitation, be the invitation. Life is an invitation. So this morning, my purpose or my focus is just to make sure that you are RSVPing to the right party. Some of you have already said yes to the pity party that's in progress. You know who you are. Instead of giving yourself completely to the love fest that's right here, the love fest that's already in action. It's about being conscious of what we are saying yes to. We are always vibrating with energy, attracting to us the things that are like us. You know what I mean? So beyond the law of attraction is the law of right action. Using the consciousness to say yes to the things. Is this choice bringing me closer to my dreams or closer to my fear? That power within us that Sherry was singing about, around us and through us, are we making choices and going to the parties that ignite and fuel that fire, that passion within? Are we spending time in places that diminish our light? Well, you can be saying, well, I can't play in that party because I'm just not enough. Let me tell you this story, and it happens to be in the August issue of the Science of Mind magazine. And it's the story of a young woman who has a miraculous invitation for each of us. At age 19, Amy Purdy had her life in pretty good order. She said she had her challenges, but she found her passion, which was snowboarding. She was a massage therapist, an artist. She was making good money, supporting herself, and she felt very good about her life. One night, she got sick. She had the flu, she thought, and didn't feel good the next day. Well, the next morning she woke up and she realized something critical was going on. Her family took her to the hospital, and sure enough, her organs had started shutting down as well as her respiratory system. It took 5 days for them to realize and recognize and diagnose bacterial meningitis. She went into a 3-week coma. It was during that time that Amy said she felt her last heartbeat. She had that near-death experience that was pulling her to the other side. She remembers making the conscious choice, stop, wait a minute, I'm not ready to go yet. She realized how precious this life is, and she wasn't complete. So when she came back out of the coma, the doctors told her that she would have to have both of her legs amputated because she would possibly die. They were infecting her body. And the sooner they did it, the less of the leg they would have to take. And she said yes. And her mother said, after the operation, Amy said to her, "Mom, are they gone?" And her mother said, "Yes, Amy, they amputated your legs right below the knees." And she said, "Good." She had the courage to know what she needed to do. She said she could say yes because she knew what she needed to do. She had a life to live. Now, what about us? Most of us, many of us, with something that devastating, would give up for a time. We would enter an RSVP to that pity party. Amy chose not to. 7 months after she got out of the hospital, she was back on the snowboarding slope. Now, the first time she went up the lift and got off, both her snowboard and her prosthetic legs went down before her. Which was not only a shock to her, but to everyone around her. She did not give up. She persevered. She persevered until she could snowboard just as well as before her operation. But that wasn't all. While snowboarding, she met a man, Daniel Kale, who is now her partner. And after a day of snowboarding together, Amy showed him her metal legs. And his response was, "Well, do you want to go snowboarding again tomorrow?" The two of them, in 2005, created an organization called Adaptive Action Sports. Amy knew how much she loved snowboarding, skateboarding, and she said she wanted to help youth and young adults with similar setbacks to be able to get back, so to speak, on their feet. She didn't call it a disabled organization because she said she doesn't consider herself disabled. She considers herself adaptive because she finds a way. She said she feels like everybody could be disabled because we all have challenges to overcome. You only become disabled when you let your challenge take over you and you don't find a way. So this morning my question would be, for all of us, wherever we are on our journey, whether the challenges are big or they're small, are we willing to find a way and be adaptive? Are we willing to see life in the whole spectrum? Now, what Amy did is she was able to be intimate with her life. Her journey was inward. She knew who she was. She knew that she was so much more than just her legs. She was so much more than just this physical body. At 29, 10 years after her accident, she is a model, a snowboarder, and she runs her nonprofit organization. She is living a full and vital life. What is it right now that is disabling us that we're ready to accept and change? I'm going to ask that as an invitation to us. There's a wonderful reading. In fact, it's a book called The Invitation by Araya Mountain Dreamer. How many of you have read that? I love that. Don't you love it? Because it talks about getting intimate with your whole life. Not just part of your life, but intimate with your whole life. Too often, we only want to step into our life when it's magnificent. You know what I mean? I want to be there when it's magnificent. But our life isn't magnificent all the time. And if we don't practice finding magnificence in the ordinary, we won't be able to accept it in its fullness. It's like being